He wouldn't be here this evening. Myself and town manager. Absent. And Councilor Merritt?
Here. Could you
Council-
ask the tech to turn on these?
It's on, Roscoe. Turn the volume on.
I did.
Okay.
Could you? Thank you. Councilor Pacino?
Here.
And myself, Mayor Parker. Now on to calendar and communications. Councilor Burrell.
I don't have anything right now.
Okay. Councilor Bordelon.
Thank you. Just received many communications about changes to the POCD, as well as the tax zone amendment changes with the hearing tonight, with people
Okay.
that, are concerned in the community about it from a conservation perspective, as well as, are we not up and running?
Oh, no, can you pause this for a minute? I got to pause your time. I think they said there's an issue. Oh,
There are rumblings in the background again.
I think there's an issue, so we're just going to pause the meeting for a moment. Thank you.
Sounds like an air conditioner.
Should we just take a recess?
Start you fresh. Start you fresh. Not you.
We're-
I'm gonna start you fresh.
Back from recess, it is 6:38 PM, and we were on Counselor Bordelon.
Thank you. I just received many communications about the POCD as well as the planning and zoning, text zoning amendment that, has been, they had an extension of their hearing as a second hearing continued tonight. So many folks in and around that area that this text amendment isn't directly going to impact off of Sandy Howell Road have reached out or called or I've run into in the community. So I, definitely am following that. And that's, I think the town manager addressed an email. I had gotten a concern that the RTM Board of Ed meeting wasn't recorded because some people had tried to zoom into that to, kind of follow along and asked if I knew, and the town manager did send an updated email about that. That's all I have for tonight. And that's it. Thank you.
Counselor Federo.
This past week, I attended the RTM's budget discussions on Wednesday, and on Thursday, had a meeting looking at the potential of connecting Orleans with Rhode Island Regional Rail in Westerly. And just really interested in the proposal on how that can work and potentially even add rail connectivity into Groton. So after that meeting, I connected the Westerly contact with the town manager and Director Reiner, just so that they can discuss the concept with them, and I'd hope to learn more throughout the process. Additionally, I want to commend our legislators for the full legislative session, but as well as for their efforts to secure additional state funding for the town, and I'm looking forward to the discussion to see how we as a council can use that funding going forward. But I want to commend them on a great job advocating for Groton, and that's all for me.
Counselor Good.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have one thing. I just got news that we are going to be short members of the Groton Housing Authority, so I'm just inviting all the residents of Groton to consider being on the commission. If anyone is interested, please contact the town clerk with that. Thank you.
Counselor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I did two events this week. I attended with Mayor Parker, and thank her for organizing the National Day of Prayer event that was held at Thrive 55 on Thursday, well attended by our ministers from all the different churches in this town, so that was a good event. And then last night, also with Mayor Parker, was the United Way pop-up event at Thrive 55. And thank you to all the volunteers who came out to help. And we served 93 families for that. So that was a good event, and I'm glad we're able to offer 2 locations through the United Way Food Bank program. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Counselor Merritt.
I didn't have anything to say until I sat and listened tonight in regards to the other meetings that are held in this building, in regards to the taping of them. And it appears that a lot of the meetings that are held, Shellfish Commission and others, they don't have the knowledge on how to get online. They don't have the knowledge of how to get people at home to Zoom in and be able to explain it to them. And at one point, they didn't even have a password to get into the system. So all I can say is if they're required to record their meeting, then somebody needs to get on board with this.
Okay. Counselor Pacino.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have nothing necessarily to pass today. Thank you.
Thank you. My turn, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, no, I did Counselor Burrell already. He was first. Thank you. All right, thank you. So I attended the RTM special budget meetings on Wednesday and Thursday. Also attended the CCM end of session legislative wrap-up, where they discussed what our state reps, legislators did, and further discussion on how the funding should go for the school budgets, the school ACS money and everything that came in, and they explained how it's not part of the MBR. So Counselor Jones explained the two events I was with him at, so that was good. And I want to thank the Thrive 55 staff for always being willing to let us host the prayer sessions there. On Friday, I was able to stop by Recovery Fest that was held at Pequannock Plains. It looked like it was a well-attended event, even though it rained a little bit. Many organizations were there, and I was able to get some information that I can pass along. I also attended the Mystic Aquarium General Dynamics Electric Boat new exhibit at Mystic Aquarium called Pathways to the Deep, talking about the oceans, submarines. A few people had an opportunity to do this, how do you say it, simulator? Is that the word I want? Thank you, simulator, on the submarine boat, so that was pretty cool. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for inviting us, and also attended with Counselor Good this evening to a official book launching for Jessica, and please forgive me if I mispronounce your name, Brittagna. The book is called Bay, the Connecticut Water Safety Dog. It's an age-appropriate book about water safety. And congratulations, this was held at the spot this evening by both Mystic Chamber and Eastern Chamber of Commerce. And that's all I have to report. Thank you. Council Burrell, would you be willing to move the meeting minutes, approval of meeting minutes for 2026-388?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the committee of the whole minutes for April 28th, 2026.
Second.
Motion made by Burrell and seconded by Good. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 That is 8-0. On to new business. I believe that's Director Green. Director Green, please come up. That is on page 8 of our packet. And I believe we're going to have Director Green explain to us what this 2026 417 retiree pension COLA as of July 1st, 2026. Good evening.
Okay, good evening, everyone. There's a lot here. I tried to look back at what the discussion was last time and include everything that was asked for so we could look at it in one sitting. As you are aware, we have a defined benefit pension for all of our groups that includes union and non-union groups. Every other year, the opportunity is written into the document for the unions to present and have a discussion on what they would like to recommend, and we pass that along to you from a percentage perspective. This time around, the union recommendations ranged from around 3% to 6%, with differing reasons for why. And if you'll recall, last time, we have gone down a little bit of a different path where we're following more closely the language in the documents that allow for a waiting period or not a waiting period. And I look at this sort of as a decision tree because you have a lot of things in front of you. So the first thing, do you want to approve a COLA or not, which would be effective 7/1/26 for retirees that would be eligible to collect. And then you have to think about, do you want to do it the same for everyone, and that was a past way of doing it, or do you want to follow the language for each group? And then what percentage, and we can go over the percentages that were done by our actuarial review, and then additionally, if there is anything extra for the non-union group. And where that comes from is there's a few groups with no waiting period to get an increase, and there are some groups with a 5-year waiting period. So we went through that last time, so 2 groups. Of the groups that have the 5 years, a non-union retiree pointed out to us that the non-union group is the only one who doesn't have an opportunity for an in-between increase out of the ones who have to wait 5 years. So I thought that was a fair point, and I added that into what we asked the actuarials to look at. And your charts include 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, and 6% with waiting, without waiting, mixed bag of waiting, as well as what it would be for the non-union. And I did some charts in the back, similar to what we talked about last time, to help simplify it and capture it in a smaller area and make it a little more digestible than the actual actuarial reports, which are in there. And there is also information that was requested last time, which includes a history of what Social Security has done, what the town has done, what current pensioners are collecting per month, as well as a chart that captures the number of retirees currently collecting by group and the min and the max. I'm not sure if the person is here who had asked for this last time, but again, all of the information is there for digestion, so to speak. When you're looking at the monetary cost, it's helpful to remember that when we do our actuarial review for pension, it's looked at over 20 years. So we don't fund as you go and put a singular amount in. When we get the actuarial review, it's looking at the impact of what you do today, what that will do over 20 years, and kind of backing into, okay, this is the proper amount we need to put in so it sustains over 20 years. So it's not just the cost of increasing, an extra $50. That has a value over 20 years. And don't forget, every time we come here every other year, the increases also build upon each other. So that's why we have to have a new look at it, because what's true today is not going to be true in 2 years when you're thinking about putting another layer on. So it's a little complicated, but our actuaries do a good report of giving that, or providing that overview for us. And again, this is in the negotiated document. All of the language is in there for everyone to see how each document reads. I think that covers it without diving into the actual numbers. The only other piece I'll say, and this was a little bit of conversation the last time around, the charts show what our liability is in general, and then it shows what the liability will be with a certain percentage increase, given the scenario. And the annual cost increase is, again, over 20 years. So the first one is about $120,000. That's not what it costs to make the change in July. That's looking over this change, how you have to layer it over 20 years, and then how you need to chop it up basically and pay for it, and you're financing it. If you were to pay right now for what this change will cost, that would be the total liability increase, which is over $1 million for the 2%. So that's why we look at a 20-year period, and we don't pay as you go. That's the 20-year period, and we also are careful to consider the changes that you make now, how will they affect us over time, and what the true cost is, and that's what this is aiming to capture. I think that covers the general overview.
All right. So technically, there's no motion on the floor. Mr. Burke, I know we see some alternatives here, but so we can ask questions now before making a motion, correct, or no? We can have discussion.
Since there's so many options, I would say have discussion first and see where you want to go with it.
Counselor Good, then Counselor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the mayor, I'm just looking at the alternatives and trying to wrap my head around each. Number 3 is just for non-union, right? Or is that?
What page, or what are you looking
I'm
at? There's
sorry,
a lot
on
of.
page 9 or page 2 of 3 of the discussion, under alternatives. I'm just trying to get clear on what the implications of each one of these alternatives are. Starting with number 3, I thought I heard you mention that this is just including the 1% for non-union retirees, right? So
The options, I kind of built them sequential, so number one is just 5 years for everybody.
Okay.
And then the second one is 5 years for, I have them written down here, 5 years for the ones that have it in the language, and no waiting for the ones that don't. So that's 4 groups on one side, 3 groups on another. And then I also priced it out, if you wanted to do that split, what it would be for an additional 1% for the non-union folks who did not have the chance to get an increase between, and that's about, I think, 7 people. So it's not everybody in non-union gets that, it's those who did not have an opportunity to get that in-between award where the other groups did.
Got it.
And so that's how I structured those 3 to give kind of talking points, and we can fill in the blanks of the percentage.
Right, and I know this is basic stuff. I'm
Oh,
trying,
oh,
I'm
it's
testing
pretty-
your
there's a
patience
lot of
here.
scenarios.
So basically, it's, out of these alternatives, it could be 1 and 3, 1 by itself, 2 and 3, or 2 by itself is
I tried to write them so that your choices are one of them, not a combination.
okay, all right.
Because
I guess
one choice.
that's where I'm confused about number 3.
So
I
the
see.
first choice would be for everyone that's been retired 5 years, they get it. So you'll see 5 years and it lists all the groups. And then the second one is for those that have been retired 5 years or more in the groups that have to wait, and then no waiting for the groups that don't have to wait. So that's captured in a second bucket. And then the third one is the same as number 2, except with the additional 1% for those non-union folks.
Okay,
So they kind of cascade or build upon each other.
I'm there now. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Counselor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I call a friend? My daughter's an actuary. She could probably explain all of this. So I have a question on, I'm into the charts, these charts.
Okay.
Page, it's 15, but I don't know where the number is on them. It might be under the staple. But it doesn't really matter. They're all basically just different combinations. So I'm just looking at the one that's in the 3% COLA, I'm just for an example. In the total paid number, which I understand is basically based on each of these people over 20 years, and it just gets accumulated.
You're looking at one of these pages?
Yep, I'm looking at one of
Okay,
those.
yep.
At the 3%.
So I'm just looking at the 3%, I'm just using it as an example.
Mm-hmm.
The total paid, what I understand, in this case, it's $4,234,000. So that's just based on 20 years' worth of COLAs and things like that added up.
It is, that was one of the requests last time around, was to take that annual cost increase and just multiply it by 20 in a visual capture for everybody to look at, and that's the small chart that I put in there. I did make a note in the write-up, though, that our actuary did it, simple math. I was able to figure it out as well. But it's not as accurate as something we're looking at today. So to say what we're going to pay over 20 years, the market could go down, our discount rate could
Well, that's
change.
my question is that the next time this comes around in 2 years, we may do a different COLA.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And so all, that number is sort of just a guesstimate, really.
For this point in
For
time,
this point in
yes.
time.
It really is a moving target.
Okay.
But that wasn't asked, so that's why we manually said, okay, we'll take that annual cost and multiply it by 20 to give a visual.
It just kind of gives us a snapshot. When the town does their budget planning, they know this is coming up. So has some one of these numbers been put into the budget so that we know we're basically covered for it?
No, but it doesn't hit until the next budget cycle.
Okay. So you would then plan,
For the
whatever
next
this
year,
number is
correct.
will go into that budget.
Correct,
So
yeah.
the numbers that we're using in today's
The
budget
next,
were
the
done
next year, right.
2 years
There's
ago.
the retirement fund's in place to pay anything along the way, and then we get an annual report that says what we should pay to maintain status quo.
So this was done past, and now we're kind of shooting the future. Okay. I, along with Councilor Good, also just kind of trying to look at these alternatives. I think I heard you say that on number 3, it's really catching up just a few people. Is that right? There's just a
Correct.
few
It's
sort of stragglers
7
that need
folks.
to be put in?
Yes, and this was retirees are not one singular group, so sometimes we'll get a random person that reaches out just to share their thoughts, and I want to make sure we forward those as well as the union groups. And it's not for everyone, it's for the ones who had hit 5 years in the in-between but didn't get anything in the way the others did, and that's about 7 people that would be eligible as of 7/1/26.
Can you just sort of tell me the logic or the theory behind the 5-year number? Like why, I don't understand. I guess did you retire, you get your pension, but you don't get access to a COLA for 5 years? Is that correct?
That's what it means, yes. The logic and the reason I cannot, and that would be because I wasn't there for it being negotiated, and 2, it's a negotiation. So that's behind closed doors. Obviously, we go into executive session to talk about some of those things. So I don't know when this plan was originated, many years ago, what the thought was around the 5-year waiting period. Some places don't get any, so it's just relative. Everybody does it a little bit different, and it depends on what was negotiated.
By everybody, you mean are different union groups?
No,
or
I mean,
different
some towns don't have COLAs.
Don't have
Yeah.
COLAs, okay. Can you, I understand there are some groups in here that aren't part of the 5 years, but who don't get Social Security, so they get something different. There's a mix of different things that go on in here.
I don't think.
I think the reference is the police department who aren't eligible for Social Security, however, they have a higher factor in the pension. So,
So it evens out for everybody,
right,
but.
and that's
because some
pretty
people don't have
standard that police
the same
departments
base.
don't have access to Social Security.
Okay, so we.
And I would also say steel workers don't have a waiting period, but that wouldn't be applicable to them. So there's a mixed bag of who doesn't have the waiting period.
Okay. And then all of these other charts, like, can you just tell me what this chart means?
So that long list
The
of
long ones that
numbers,
go on for pages?
that is the list of everyone who is actively collecting, that's the value per month of a check that all the retirees get. So that was asked for last time around, so I made sure to cover everything we talked about last time so we could have it all at once this time.
So is each one of these a person?
Yes,
So where it's greats, that's, we just have a lot of that, of greats.
yes.
We have a lot of police, we have whatever NONU is. So that's just all the individual people, just giving us a snapshot of where they are with their
Correct,
pension.
and then the chart after that summarizes the number for you, so you don't have to count it, as well as the min and the max, and that was a specific ask last time as well.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, all right, I'm good for the moment. Thank you.
Council Bordelon.
Thank you. Thank you for such detail. It was great when I was preparing, when it posted online last week, at the end of the week. So I appreciate all the detail. Some of the people probably that requested it aren't here, but it was helpful, so I do appreciate it. The way that I look at it, I think it is important to look at the COLAs. I think it is a good benefit. We talk about attractability and ways in which we're trying to sustain and keep employees in the town. So I think, but what that number looks like, I mean, I could tell you what I think it should be, but I would have to have the support of every other counselor up here to move that number. But I do think that 8% should be there. I look at all the different options. I can appreciate the number 3 as well, like to help the folks that fall within that gap. I'm always out looking for the best interest of employees. But I also look at the cost, balance. So, but I think there's a lot of different options here. I'm very familiar with this COLA kind of thing from the past, and I think it's just a matter of figuring out the number. So tonight we're charged with picking a percent basically and a scenario.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Let's see what other people feel like. My sole thought won't necessarily move the needle because I'm only one, but I do believe that there should be definitely some percent increase. When I did my calculations, I looked at last time we did this, and I looked at some years before, and I was looking on average with towns that do COLAs and kind of looking around at different things. And I also look in for my own professional life where, we look at COLA raises for benefits for clients that we work for that receive widows benefits and payments, and they have COLA raises. And I will just say this, from my own experience, that some of these down the road affect people's quality of life in later, years and things, and helping reach certain goals. So they are important, just like I think union work is important. So I do take a value to this. So for me, the numbers I was getting was like a 2% area, 2.5 is, seemed to be, with everything going on in the economy. I don't think a no raise is appropriate, in my opinion, but again, I'll move with the council. If they agree with 1% and that's all I can get, then I'll take something, but I definitely don't think it should be 0. But my calculations and stuff, and after doing a little research and asking some friends who kind of negotiate some of this type of stuff in different atmospheres, what I calculate and looking at our cost over time, it looked to me that, a 2.5% could be a fair amount to consider, and go from there. But that's where I was at. With everything going on in our country and other things, like, we also have to be careful about, where we're at. But then next year, maybe we're going to be in a different spot. Like, it's always moving. It's a moving target. So that was my kind of starting number, but I'm open to options. Thank you.
Any first-time hands before I go to seconds? Council Good?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's possible to make an ask for what the union's requests were. That would be filled in, or are we needing to?
The council can put any percentage they want for when you guys vote. So these, where I got my numbers from were based on requests from the union.
Okay, and is that spelled out in here, what each union requested?
Okay,
It is. At the end, I attached the emails for each group to show the range. So there was a range, and some went into a little more detail than others, but it was important to make sure that we represented everybody's opinion or ask, so the council had all of the information.
Okay.
What page?
31. Starts
So
on
it's at the
page
very
30.
end.
No, that's what they got. That's what they got.
And you had that one. All right, I'm going to, like to make a motion.
Okay, wait a minute. I have to write down your motion.
Just,
Good. Go ahead.
I would move to approve the requested percentage from each union COLA increase for active retirees. Do you want me to spell out each one?
Okay. Question would be, it has to be either 1%, one type of percentage for all of them at the same time, or do we have to do them?
We'd have to
as
rerun
individual?
actuarials, otherwise, I highly recommend you keep unions even. And just, technically the process is they put in what they want. Staff, I think some of them are written, staff gives their opinion. If they differ, then the council decides. Personally, I look at alternative 2 with a 3%, and I just generally think you should treat, whatever you do, you should treat everyone the same.
Point of information?
Your point of,
I just want to make sure I heard, town manager, you said 2 point, I didn't hear.
Well, my own preferred, there's cases to be made for everything here.
Yeah.
But alternative 2 at a 3% is my own personal recommendation.
You said a 2 or a 3%, I just want to make sure.
Alternative 2 at 3%.
Alternative, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The number, out of the 3, number 2 at 3%. Okay, thank you.
I would like to, can I continue my motion then?
yes.
I would, I move to approve a 3% COLA increase for active retirees, beneficiaries that have been retired 5 or more years in the town non-union supervisors, GREATS, and telecommunicators group as of July 1st, 2026, and approve a 3% increase for active retirees, beneficiaries with no waiting period for the police, USW, steelworkers, and non-police unions. Also to approve a I would assume keeping it 3% COLA increase for active retirees, beneficiaries that have been retired for 5 or more years in the town, non-union supervisors, GREATS, and telecommunicators groups, with an additional 1% for non-union.
I'm going to stop you right there. Which alternative are you
That's
reading?
alternative 2 and 3,
You
right?
can't,
It's
you
one or
could-
the other.
you
Oh,
have to
okay,
get
well,
one.
I'll just stick with 2. I'm sorry, I was a little more confused than I thought. I thought this was to get the additional 1% for
Second,
the,
Pacino?
All right, alternative 2, which is to approve a 3% COLA increase, it's both threes, is made by Council Good and seconded by Council Pacino. And now we're discussion on the motion. Any hands for decision? Councilor Jones.
I'm just going to say I'm going to support Counselor Good's motion on the floor of alternative 2 with the 3% COLA.
Set? You're good?
Okay.
Councilor Burrell?
Yeah, I was wondering, what does state in their contract, union contract, about cost of living increases for retirees?
I don't know. I don't have
Okay.
the state ones memorized, and the state is a little bit different than us, so I'm focused more on us.
I say, because I can't have a cost of living increase on my benefit because it's not within the union contract. So 20 years from now, I'm making the same money I'm making right now. I know people who retired in my department, retired 30 years and never got a raise, making money from the 1960s and the 1990s. And I was just curious what the contract is and we actually do this. I'm just going from what I don't 100% know exactly what I'm talking about, but it's just that it's one of those things that's the reason why I can't have one.
I'm sorry, are you asking about state contracts, or you're asking about our contracts? I missed. I think I missed.
I'm just
Here.
curious about these union contracts of the cost of living and what is there in their contract, the retiree's contract.
So for Groton,
Yeah, for Groton.
Yes,
It's not mine. I'm not
so-
worried about mine. I already know
I
what
thought
mine
you said
is.
the state contracts, and I wasn't sure
Yeah.
what you meant.
Okay.
So for Groton, we have separate pension documents for each of the groups.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are attached in the union contracts as an addendum, but all groups have their own written document. So it's not necessarily in the collective bargaining agreement, but it's in the pension plan, which is part of it,
Hmm.
sometimes separate, what is the word I want? Negotiated separately. So the language from those pension documents are actually part of the attachments here for you, and it's listed out by each group, and it's an actual snippet from that. So
Okay.
you'll see the section number and the language for each. And this is established, as you can see by the history here, where the council has given increases in the past. So this is not contract language per se,
All
but
right, I'm
it's
just
pension
curious.
document language, yeah.
Yeah. Almost said that.
Any other hands? Councilor Fitzgerald?
Just one thought on the cost of living adjustment, and it's not really my own thought, but just a way to approach it is the cost of living adjustment should reflect the inflation rate, really just the value of your money year to year. And I believe 3% matches what the federal government aims to keep the inflation rate at per year. So it seems fair that the value, that people over time aren't diluting the value of their pension, and that they're able to afford a nice quality of life, as well as being thankful for their service to the town, or that we as the town can be thankful for their service, for their contributions over the years that they spent earning this pension. So I support the 3% number. And that's all.
Thank you. Any other? Councilor Bordelon?
Thank you. So again, my number was it came in at about 2.5, so I think it's pretty fair that a 3 is pretty darn close, from the calculations. looking at the average over the years, looking at what we've done in the past, you can see the past numbers that we have approved as a council, if I'm reading this correctly, if I didn't lose my page. Can you just simply explain, just for like recording, like what the increases were in the last, like 3 years anyway?
So the chart on, I think
Page
it's
third,
page
21?
21, yeah. So in the right column, we did a historical review the last time around to take a snapshot of what the history had been. In 2007, there was a mix. In 2007, 2008, it wasn't all groups, but it looks like across a couple of years, most of the groups did get covered. And then you have a jump between 2009 and 2015 where there was no increase. And in 2016, one group got an increase. 2018, it looks like it started being all groups. So every other year in 2018, and of course, there's the interim awards for people who became eligible. And from 2018, that ranged from 2, 1, 2.5, and 3 in the more recent history.
Yeah. And so, I remember like the 3%, and I can, remember the 2.5, and even the 1%, just from being involved. I think the 3 is, kind of a baseline continuum of what we did previous year. So, I can support 3%. I mean, it's really not much different than what we were doing already, so, thank you.
Any other hands? All right, seeing no hands, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstain.
Okay, that is 7-0.
6? Oh, you're right, I'm sorry.
7-0 with one abstention, merit.
Madam Mayor, I'm going to step away for a little bit to go to planning and zoning, since I feel that's a pertinent evolution with what's going on with the grant, since a lot of people reached out to me with the text amendment. So I'm going to pop over there. I'll probably pop back, but I want to support the community and listen to their concerns.
Okay.
Thank you, and that was alternative 2, just so I.
Alternative 2.
Okay.
Sorry.
I just making sure.
I tried to get it.
Have a good night.
All right, Counselor Bordelon's leaving the meeting at 7:16. This is, you're gonna have to stop calling me. All right, who was it that read that? Counselor, okay. Counselor, Counselor Fitzgerald, please, for 2026-408. Wait a minute, let me make sure there's a motion on the floor before I say that. There is a motion. Counselor Fitzgerald.
Should we have the presentation first before we read the motion, or?
Mr. Burt, would you like us to have the presentation first, or go ahead and read the motion? Or is it,
In this one, there's only one motion, I believe. I don't have.
Yes,
one for-
so-
Yeah, if
Go
there's
ahead.
a motion, now we start with the motion.
go ahead.
Item number 2026-408, acceptance of Long Island Sound Ecosystems Grant. I recommend a resolution authorizing the town manager to sign all required grant documents except the Long Island Sound Ecosystems Grant Award in the amount of $195,000 and refer this item to the RTM per Rule 6.5.3.
Second.
Jones?
Motion made by Fitzgerald, seconded by Jones, and we have Director Reiner.
All right, good evening, everyone. John Reiner, Director of Planning, Development, and Public Works. Just wanted to go over kind of high level what this grant was. So we applied to Connecticut Deep for a $195,000 grant that is focused, really it's on green infrastructure. This is not, climate change and sea level rise. This is looking at stormwater solutions within the Quantic Bridge area. That is an area that through rainfall events will often flood. There's not great drainage through there. So we want to look at some drainage design options, rain gardens, porous pavement, things along those lines, and what we can do to, accommodate some of the flooding that happens after rainstorms. And good portion of that area is within the X zone from a flood perspective. There's a little bit as you get closer to the coast that actually is in the, I think, in the AE zone. But the majority of the property, really what we're looking to focus on is a design study, do some analysis, and try to figure out, where water is coming from in rain events and how can we best handle that. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Counselor Burrell?
Yeah, I was I was looking through here, and I'm trying to find out where these flooding areas in the Forest Hill Homes area are.
So there were a number of pictures within the grant application, and some of what would be done is, we've seen standing water after rain events on our roads and intersections, a number of other areas. So some of what we'd be doing is, we see it, we have photographic evidence of what's happening out there after flood events, and there's not great stormwater handling in that area. That development was built before much of the standards of how we handle stormwater nowadays, from both pollution handling from what comes off the road and into the groundwater, or eventually into Long Island Sound, as well as kind of the capacity of rain events that we have now as well.
Yeah, I know that I've been studying, having issues. I've always had flooding problems in my basement. I've been living there over 40 years, and it's the groundwater in that area. It's this porous pavement for drainage is not going to drain into a solid ground. The only issues I ever see are plugged up storm drains where brush accumulates on top of it and it produces a lot of water over the roads. I don't see anywhere in the area where a simple fix is not going to solve the issue, because there's not really that many issues that I've seen in that area. I know in my area, the storm drains, the piping system is so high. We're only talking maybe 3 feet from the actual road, that the groundwater just accumulates up to that point before it gets to be taken away from anything else, and that starts flooding out all the basements in the area, especially around the Central Avenue area. You'll see all the pumps on the street. Everybody in my street pump out the basements constantly springtime. My basement is pumping constantly through the storm drain system. And it's basically, from the research I've done, it says the groundwater accumulates where the storm system can't get rid of the water in the ground. We had that issue with the sewers when they did the sewer lining. That's why I realigned the sewer systems. So I don't see, a grant fix situations we have there, but hopefully we see what the problem is.
And that's a lot of what it is as well. So, we don't go and just design solutions for what we think a problem is. The first step is really to do an analysis, look at it. So, you saw in there an H&H type of model. Like, what is an H&H model? It's, a hydrologic and a hydraulic. So, say that 3 times fast. Type of model looking at the area. Where's the water coming from, and then how is it getting through the ground? Is our current stormwater system properly handling it? Is the stormwater system that we have in place up to the design standards of what we should have now, especially for, pollutant, soil, sediment type removal of what's happening there? Because I'm sure a lot of that was built prior to the standards that we have now.
Okay. Also, is there a chance I can take a look at the map of the storm drain systems in there? I know the map online to the GIS is not accurate. The Public Works Director, 2 public directors before you, I had this discussion with Public Works Director before, and the maps online aren't accurate compared to what's on the town has. And he was told, but I haven't actually seen the actual town maps, because there are a few way the piping runs through town. Doesn't make sense if you look at the GIS system. So if I wonder if I can get a chance to look at that map, I can go, I'll come down here.
Shoot me an email. We'll find a time, we'll find the maps, and happy to have you take a look at them.
All right, thank you.
And also making sure that the right layers we're looking at on GIS versus the maps are storm drains versus sewer lines as well. But
Yeah.
no, happy to, share some of that data with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's also all items that we would be diving into as part of this project, looking at where our infrastructure is, identifying it, and then part of that modeling. And that's all good. There'll also be some public outreach as part of this, because we don't want to just operate within a vacuum on anything that we do. We reach out to the community, we try to understand things. When we did our Downtown Mystic Sustainability Resiliency Study, we learned a lot of great information from people living there, what they were dealing with from high groundwater, realizing that, where this house is, there used to be a river there that was filled in, and that's why, there's a lot of flooding through that certain area. So those are all things that we look at and try to do as part of any project like this.
All set.
Council Merritt?
Yeah, a couple of trivialities that I would consider is, one is Fort Hill Brook is plugged up down past the baseball fields, and it's going to continue to be that way. The sides are washing debris into it, and it's plugging up. And I don't know if you ever found out anything useful about the issue at Pequannock Plains Park. That's been going on for several years, and it could be just Fort Hill Brook, which was originally not where it is now. It came down through my court, somewheres in that area. I don't have any information on where it was. But the person that told me where it was in back of his house on Birmingham Court, down along Central Avenue somewheres, and he said that it appears it might be trying to get back to where it was. How? I don't know. But that's just a couple of thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember what Led Zeppelin song it was, but, although the course may change sometime, the rivers always reach the sea. So, we always see how they want to get back to where they were. So
That's
gotta
why-
get some small.
That's why I would suggest cleaning out Fort Hill Brook, for one. And the draft there, if there is a draft created, could pull the groundwater with it.
Okay. Good information, thank you.
Also, Council Merritt?
That's it.
Oh, okay. Council Jones and then Council Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Also, Led Zeppelin fans here. So this grant will just, it's basically a research and information kind of plan
In
grant.
preliminary design, looking at, I think it was 5 options, we're looking at it for some possible design scenarios, taken to a certain percentage of design.
Yeah.
We're not going to be building things as part of this project. It's really to look at some options moving forward.
Will this allow you to do any engineering, or is that sort of the next grant?
Yeah, no, this would allow us to do, I can't remember if it was up to 10 or 30% design engineering for a certain number of these, kind of pilot sites that we'd look at. Again, when we do analyses like this, we try to look at the lowest, as we do the analysis, what's the lowest hanging fruit? Where can we get the most bang for the buck? Where are the areas that are flooding the most that we could do the least amount of work to get the most amount of improvement? So,
And then you'll come back for a CIP or something at that.
or hopefully more grant funds
More grant
first,
funds.
and then a CIP, or maybe just keep going for grants. That's the goal.
Is there lots of grant money to do this kind of stormwater analysis?
On some of the more, cutting edge green infrastructure stuff, yes. And that's why, we go after these things, because that, eventually these are going to be requirements that are on us. And if we're ahead of the curve, we can get a lot of this designed and paid for now, whereas 10, 15 years from now, we might just have to do it.
Got it, okay. Let me think of any- I know when the water's really high there, especially on, by South Road where it comes in there.
Yeah.
It gets very, very high. And, are you going to be analyzing that area also, or is it just inside the perimeter of?
It's inside the perimeter of where that map was, that's included as part of it.
Okay, all right, thank you. And thank you for applying for these and watching for them and going out and getting them and then accessing them. So, terrific, thank you.
Thank you.
Council Fitzgerald.
Just want to clarify, so this, I see here on page 36, the funding has already been awarded for the plan you've outlined.
Yes.
Like full funding.
Correct.
So we're really voting on accepting the funding that, and As a follow-up question, is there any matching funding that the town put in? So it's really an opportunity for us to just maximize something that don't even have to put additional resources towards.
Correct. I mean, there'll be some staff time, and that's, that will be involved in, but again, these are projects that we would be doing anyway. This was something that we had identified before, and it's always great when we can find grant money out there instead of putting it in a CIP, which we would have been doing sometime in the next couple of years. So, by getting this, we just saved the taxpayers of Groton $195,000.
Wow, thank you. Just as a follow-up question, it just sounds like from the input from the counselors, and I see here on task number 3 that there will be a project advisory group with members of the community. So just seems like there are a lot of great insights from people who are on the ground there every day, but as well as just the scientific model that you'll create. It sounds like that'll generate a comprehensive report. And so really seems like a great initiative, and I support it.
Oh, no.
Accepting the full funded grant.
All right, good, thank you.
Counselor Good, and then I'll go for Counselor Merritt after.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to express my gratitude for Public Works having the foresight to look at an issue that, as you said, is going to be a yes or no issue sooner than we may hope. So I really appreciate you recognizing a problem, not just now, but isn't going away unless we do something about it. So thank you.
Counselor Merritt.
I just wanted to add for information about South Road. I believe that's all state-run. And the last time it flooded, they forgot to turn on the new pumps that they had installed under the trestle. That's been taken care of.
Thank you, Counselor Merritt. All right. So, seeing no other hands, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any no? Well, 7 to 0 is 0. As a reminder, Counselor Bordelon stepped out at 7:16, so we're at 7. We are now on to 2026-342. Counselor Jones.
Good, Madam Mayor. 2026-342, requests for reallocation of capital improvement project funds. Motion to recommend a resolution to reallocate FYE 26 CIP funds in the amount of $175,000 from the sewer main extension design project, $35,000 for the incinerator removal engineering design, and sewer main pipeline assessment and asset management funds to remain in 501014-5517.
Second?
No.
And $150,000 for the sewer main pipeline assessment and the asset management funds to transfer to 501014-5572C.
So moved. Pacino.
I'm actually going to take Counselor Fitzgerald's
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
second.
It's a two-page deal.
Director Reiner, I almost called you Counselor. Sorry.
No, thank you.
He's been here long enough.
So very briefly, this is not CIP funds that were going to expire. What had happened was, again, this is money from our wastewater division, and so not, impacting the general fund. We had set aside or got a CIP for $175,000 to do a sewer line design going up Route 117 to the intersection of Route 184. A developer has actually designed those plans for a project that they want to build at the intersection of 184 and 117. They received a wetlands approval from the town, so it's moving along on what they're doing. So we don't need to spend our money on that sewer design. Other projects that were identified in future year CIP were that I&I study, the infiltration and inflow, and another project that we've identified before is we do have an old asbestos incinerator at the wastewater treatment plant that we need to design the removal of that incinerator. So we want to do these two projects instead with the money. It's money that's already allocated, but wanted to bring that to you for approval.
Counselor Good.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the mayor, I don't know if this is right on target with, but I'm just questioning is it just an altruistic move to decide for a private developer to put in public infrastructure? Is there any, how did we get that? They want to do, it looks like they want to construct the whole thing. I've been following it through wetlands and P&Z, and I've heard their proposal. I'm not against it, but I'm just questioning what are our obligations to the public when this is it truly is a public works project, it's sewer, and, what are we giving up by allowing a private developer to do that?
Yeah, so I think the short answer right now is we haven't given anything up yet.
Right.
So one of the things, they can design it, they can permit it, all on their dollar. Frankly, they can do it faster than we can, they can do it cheaper than we can. If they build it and then essentially hand us the keys, any infrastructure like that they would be building, not only would they be having their own inspectors inspect it, we would be inspecting it as well to make sure that it meets all of our standards, working with our engineering team, our design consultants, as well as our engineers out on the project. So if we took anything, we would be sure that it was built to, the standards that we, the town, expect. We haven't gotten to that point yet, and that's something we'd be working on with the council if it continues to move forward. They haven't submitted plans yet for their project. It's still a long ways away, but at least in this instance, they've designed it to a certain level that we don't need to spend the funds on anymore.
I appreciate that answer, thank you. Thank you. And I'm completely for this, by the way.
Was that Counselor Good?
That's it.
All right. Counselor Bordelon returned at 7:36 PM. Counselor Merritt.
Yes, I'm all in favor of this project. It's been a long time spoken of and coming, and it's going to be a long time in the future to complete, but there's more than just one developer up there interested and can benefit from it, and I think the town will benefit all the way around from it. So I'd like to see it move forward.
Thank you. Counselor Bordelon, we're on page 83.
Oh, thanks so much, appreciate that.
Any other hands?
83.
Can you just make sure I get to the page really quick, and I will answer. Which item are we on? 5?
It's 5, wait, C. C. Yes, I'm all right. It's 5C. Page 83.
Thank you so much. Pictures. Yes, thank you so much. Okay.
Any questions? Counselor Fitzgerald?
I just wanted to ask for more information on Part A, the incinerator removal, engineering design, and sewer main pipeline. I see just from the direct title, the Part B being directly related to sewer infrastructure, but I suppose I support it as long as it has that connection to the original source of like a sewer infrastructure. And so just any more information you could provide on that.
Yeah, sure. So one, the incinerator is something that's at the wastewater treatment plant. It's an old asbestos-lined incinerator that has been inactive for a very long period of time. We actually need to remove it so that we can, when we go to replace our sludge tank, the best place for it is where that incinerator is. Our sludge tank is getting to the end of its useful life as well. That's one, so this would just be the design of the removal of that incinerator project. That's something that Public Works has been talking about for a number of years. The I&I study, the infiltration and inflow, that is to basically go around and look for cracks in our pipes, when we have average day flows. I was just at the wastewater meeting, around, I'm trying to think of what our average flows are, maybe this past month, around 3 million gallons a day. After the snowstorm and all that rain melt, we were getting days where it was spiking, 7, 8 million gallons because of water infiltrating into our pipes. So then we're treating all that fresh water, which we don't need to do. So we need to do an analysis, look at and find where that is happening and start going to address those areas, especially the areas we're getting the most infiltration over time, because, just like your home, you have plumbing in there. Every once in a while, you get a little crack. The water, from a copper pipe might push out, but some of these sewer pipes, if they're not flowing at full capacity, things start to seep in.
Thank you. I mean, it seems like it makes sense to find those cracks before they become a more expensive problem down the line.
Yeah.
That's all for me.
Council Bordelon?
Thank you. Is this directly going to impact any certain development in particular, or is this just a blanket, request?
I'm not sure.
So
This-
here it says the recommendation resolution, CIP funds for the amount for main extension, and it talks here about how, it would help development on the 117 corridor.
The original project was for a development proposed on the 117 corridor. That project is being designed by another party, so we're asking to take the funds for that and use them for 2 different projects.
Right. And those projects, will they have any same value for economic development in those areas, or is it more just?
So those projects are the incinerator project, which is at the wastewater treatment plant that I just discussed, as well as the infiltration study, which will be looking at our sewer lines across the entire town.
Okay, so we're moving it from real structure to studies, more or less.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I mean-
even the original project was design. It was not real structure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for it. I think it could be great. I get a little caught up, I think, and this is my opinion, I speak for myself. I think we do a lot of studying and it costs a lot of money. Is it really needed, I guess is my first question, to do a study and then versus have somebody come in and, if you're identifying a problem, does it need to be studied fully, or can the person that we're going to hire to do the work kind of come in and, kind of present that? I mean, it just seems, we do a lot of studies is all, and a lot of money goes to it, and I can respect it, but sometimes it seems like, we do sometimes too much, in my opinion.
So when we're designing stormwater infrastructure, we don't just, I think that's the pipe size. We have to look at pressure, flow, expected growth. So as I just explained, in our current average day flow this past month was about 3 million gallons a day. During the snowstorm, there are currently cracks in our pipes through our system throughout the town. When the snow melt happened, we were getting upwards of 8 million gallons infiltrating per day. Like that, our total flow is, we don't know where those cracks are. All these pipes are underground, and we can't just guess where the cracks are. There's not an easy way of doing it, so we need to study it. We need to send cameras down. There's analysis that happens as part of that. So when we bring design projects to you, it's not something that, I can't just estimate that the rain flow is X, and I'm going to dig a hole the size of this table. When we go before a planning and zoning commission, we require developers to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to make proposals, design, engineer things that we then may accept as public improvements. We have to do that same type of analysis before we then go and spend millions of dollars constructing and fixing these things.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, and I guess what I was asking too is more of like, if we know there's cracks, how often are we assessing these, when we're not looking, because, we had an allocation of funding and now we're just diverting it towards this, which is great. But I just wonder, like, if this didn't happen, what was our plan? Do we have like an every 5-year plan where we're trying to look at the pipes? When I was doing some research, I could find like different towns had like every 5 years, they're doing like a portion of the town is covered for like, looking at that, and if you want to call it a study, but more of assessing and fixing. Do we have a plan in place currently on how we're going to, move through this or in future?
So that's called your CIP. And if you look in your packet, so there's page 85, there's a CIP from a previous year that talks about sewer line infrastructure repair. And the second paragraph on that, program for fiscal year '27, our fund $150,000 to design and develop plans for upgrades and repairs to address the I&I in the Northwest Interceptor. So we look at, and then later to be constructing that, funds to be determined, because a lot of times we don't know what these are going to cost until we design and understand the magnitude of the problems. So many times we identify these items within a CIP, and then we also don't have an unlimited checkbook. So we try to strategize on what are the biggest problems that we have. Do we replace a pump station this year, or do we look at our sewer lines? Sometimes it's the pump station that we have to fix because we don't want that to go down. And there's always an acceptable amount of I&I that's been happening. That's something that's been on the radar of multiple public works directors for a long time. It's now getting into the priority of we need to do it, so that's why we're asking for this funding. If we weren't asking for, the money's been budgeted for this design study for the sewer line up 117. Someone else is doing it for us. So we're asking to reallocate this to two projects that are high priorities that we're planning on asking for that money either this year or next year already.
I can appreciate that. Have we looked at any state funding? I mean, there was some stuff like, I know some towns are utilizing the lead stuff. Obviously, that's not going to work with sewer lines, but have we looked to seek any form of grants or assistance and write up anything to help us as we move through this for future repairs?
Yeah. Often, we look and analyze all the grants and go after what's available for the projects that we're doing.
And I guess through the mayor to the town manager, I know the town was going to be awarded some more money. Are there any funds there that you're going to allocate or recommend that we move towards helping this project further down the road, or, should we need more?
Well, that one, those would be more general fund dollars, whereas this wouldn't be.
I guess my question is like, are we allowed to move those over to the CIP to help with sewer maintenance? What can those funds be used for?
Well, I think there's many different options for using those funds, including some potential tax offset. This would be the last option where I'd want to use general fund dollars.
All right, yeah. All right, I definitely will also write to some of the state reps too and see if there's any, sewer improvement and, lines that we should be watching for in the near future, just to keep my ears on it too. But yeah, no, I think, it's something that needs to be done. It'll be interesting to see. And were you not, is there any I&I that you weren't able to do in the previous years that you asked for?
I've only been Director of Public Works for about 4.5 months, so I haven't asked for money for this before.
I'm talking about previous years.
Not to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge. Thank you. I'll wait for my second.
Council Merritt?
Yeah, just a couple of questions off the deep end, so to speak. That project they did on Route 32 through New London, Waterford, and Montville, where they put a sock down through the sewer line and baked it with steam, so to speak. Has that been brought to mind?
We have not looked at design options yet for what we want to do to improve this. First, we need to understand what the problem is. And then as we design that, we'll look at the solutions as part of the design.
And Groton Utilities is okay with that line up 117? Has that been discussed with them?
How so?
Along the edge of the reservoir?
Oh, well, it received approval from Inland Wetlands, and Groton Utilities is part of the, we send them plans for our technical review process. So they've been in the loop.
Thank you.
Council Borland for your second term?
I guess through the mayor to the town manager, has I&I been on the budget and not approved in the past, or are we?
I've never seen any of these for this funding ever get turned down in my time here.
Yeah, so it's come forward and it's always been approved.
Anytime, yeah, anything that's come forward with these funds.
That's good to hear. All right, so, yeah, I mean, it has to be done, and the money was allocated one place, so it's just kind of redirecting it, kind of as it flows, so to speak, but, literally. But yes, no, infrastructure is, vital, and, I'm just interested to see what this will do and what will be revealed as a result of this, because we don't want this stuff leaching into our waterways untreated either, which, can happen and affect, oyster beds and, other, things that people utilize, swimming, things, after heavy rains, the runoff. It can have catastrophic effects where it's, been seeping for a while. So definitely something we want to look into. And then it can also have a secondary effect where it could affect people's wells, depending on where these deficiencies, I want to call them, or cracks are in, in where the rainwater is running off. It could affect people's wells as well in different areas, so depending. So there's a lot of effects that can happen. So I definitely think it's important, and I'm happy to hear that anytime this infrastructure is coming up that we are approving it. So we'll see where it goes, and again, hope to see that we can see maybe some grants. This would be a good opportunity to, seek those in the future if they're available. Thank you.
Seeing no other hands, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 That is 8-0. We are now on 2026-141-1 Housing Rehabilitation Program and Affordable Housing Trust Fund Overview. And that was Councilor Pacino, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 2026-141, Housing Rehabilitation Programs and Affordable Housing Trust Fund Overview. A motion to recommend a resolution approving the Housing Rehabilitation Program expansion to include mobile and manufactured homes and allocating $200,000 for priority to mobile and manufactured homes, subject to program guidelines.
Second.
Motion made by Pacino, seconded by Good. Director Reiner.
Okay. And also with me here tonight,
Marshall Matata, Office of Planning. Sorry, Office of Planning and Development Services.
and Public Works.
And Public Works.
Yeah, no, and no other ands, no, draw the line there. Thanks for having us tonight. So we've talked about some of this information over the past few months and really wanted to look at our Affordable Housing Trust Fund and some options for how we can utilize that funding. We really wanted to hone in tonight on the manufactured and mobile homes. Within the referral memo, we did also talk about some other programs, but a lot of that, it's, we can kind of only bite into one item at a time, just from a staffing resource. So, our Affordable Housing Trust Fund is something that was created by the council a number of years ago. The council has been directing some money into that from the sale of excess properties, and we think we have a really good option tonight to talk specifically about what we can do to expand our existing program to include manufactured and mobile homes. When we're done with that portion of the conversation, we could talk a little bit about some other future options if we have some time, but wanted to put that out there. And Marshall, if there's anything in particular you wanted to go over?
So if you look at the amount that we are proposing be allocated for this program is $200,000, and if you really think at $15,000 per unit, we're looking at about 12 to 13 units. It's a start, and I think at the completion of those funds, we can revisit this issue and discuss the recommendation with data-driven kind of analysis as, how we should proceed with it. If 15,000 is a good number to work with, should we use more? How we got to that was I met with the building official and the floodplain manager to discuss, how much repairs would result in how much repair needs may result in potential negative impact in the household. So for example, if the building official comes in and does the inspection and finds that the home is not safe or for occupancy, and maybe condemnation happens. And so, how do we navigate the space without, compromising the residents' household.
Counsel Good, and then
Thank you.
Counsel Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a statement. I really appreciate that you guys have been listening to the people of Groton. People who are living in manufactured homes have been in kind of a twilight zone, whether it's a house or a vehicle or, you know, ground lease, however. So I really appreciate you guys working through that for an overlooked community for too long of a time. So thank you very much. 100% for this.
Counselor, what do you say, Counselor Jones, and then Counselor Merritt, Counselor Bordelon, and Counselor Pacino.
Thank you,
No,
Madam.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I guess thank you to us for helping, putting the money in, excuse me, putting the money into here, and then you guys coming up with a good plan to try to, what to do with it and how to improve our community. Do you have I know you have a list of requirements here. Applicant must be legal homeowner's insurance, property taxes, all the kind of standard stuff. Do you also have a sort of conditions checklist kind of thing, so that if how does somebody figure out that they maybe need this service, or that you guys go, yes, you kind of fit into the parameters?
I can answer that. I think the program is designed to help residents, so if you financially feel that you need help with repairs to your home, I'd encourage residents to contact our office. Part of that reason that there is no self-assessment type checklist is because, you know, the homeowner might not necessarily fully understand the program and know when to contact. And so we just encourage homeowners to reach out. There's no fee to the homeowner. The loan, the $15,000 loan is for construction costs, so not administrative or program costs. All of that work is done by our team, yes.
And this is a loan that would need to be paid back, is that correct?
It's a zero interest deferred loan, yes.
Zero interest deferred loan. And is it paid back once the work is complete, or do they have a period of time?
It's due to the town at sale or transfer of ownership of that property.
Okay, so they hold on to it. So it's sort of it's a self-assessment the person themselves does, realize they don't have the funds to do this, and then they should approach, it's the planning and development department that they approach.
Yes.
So, in this building, in the
Yes.
annex building, okay, so they could walk down here, or they could call.
I will say I do already have a list that I've been generating since 2023. So
Okay.
there's, I think, about 8 already from mobile homes.
Okay.
So we haven't necessarily denied mobile home repairs. I've always told them that I'll put them on right now it's a separate list. I will keep track of everyone that reaches out, and as soon as funding is available, over the years, I've been looking at different places, whether it's state or federal programs, to get back to those people on that list. So I'm sure if it's approved, I'll probably get more people from some of our parks reach out, and I'll be adding those names to that list, yes.
Do you have a preferred vendor list, or do you work with the homeowner as they go through the process?
We have to follow the town's bidding process, and so we need to give all contractors an equal opportunity to apply.
Okay.
And there's a timeline that we follow where we have to post it and leave it open. We do host a pre-bid meeting at both mobile home or regular or single-family housing. There's a pre-bid meeting where everyone who's interested in participating or submitting a bid can attend and see the location, what the proposed scope of work is. And so we try to be open and allow everyone to participate in this program. Yeah.
And this is for, excuse me, mobile homes and manufactured homes?
Yes,
This
yeah.
is the program for that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, right, great, thank you.
Counsel Merritt, please.
Yes, a short while ago, the council was invited by a mobile home park. The owner invited us down to look at some of the new installations. And I think the building inspector was there to go over it, and he had some questions. What was the outcome of that? I never heard the end of that.
My work, I have not spoken to the building official pertaining to that meeting. What I focused on is on how we can help, and I'm hoping that his knowledge of what that meeting resulted in will help us improve this program and see how we can best help the
Well,
residents.
this basically was to expand open up the expansion of the mobile home park. And he was using one of his new mobile homes to demonstrate what would be going in there. And I thought it was kind of nice, but I didn't know what the end result was.
I do know a while back, our Planning and Zoning Commission had looked at our mobile manufactured home regulations, and at that time, they did not want to expand on that. I can follow up with the building inspector.
Did they give a reason why not? We're looking for housing in Groton.
I think that's a great question for the
I'm not-
Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'm not too happy with that answer.
I-
They need to take a look at what's
Councilmember?
going on.
Councilman, I think that's a separate issue about housing on that part. We're just looking at approving this trust fund program. Thank you. Council Bordelon.
Thank you. I'm in full support of any way to help anybody, as always. Like, whatever you can do to help the people, I like to bring them back up and give them some quality and dignity is vital. So I'm happy, you know, if there's a category of folks that weren't being identified, I think it's only right to bring them in. But my question is, you know, will there be a detailed list of things like it would cover, for example, like I came across in some of my own outreach with somebody in a modular home that furnace just went. Yeah.
So for the initial inspection, I'll be going with the building inspector, so, which is great, because in that meeting too, he will draft, you know, a list of recommendations that we will issue to the homeowner, together with a decision letter that, you know, details whether the rehab application is approved or not. If approved, this is the building inspector's recommendation, and then the homeowner's priority list is also integrated in that building inspector's recommendation. If it's a furnace, you know, and the building inspector may call that out as a need or a requirement for occupancy. So those type of things will be on that list, yes.
So, right, so I guess, yeah, it'd be interesting to see so people understand like which things, right? Like some people fall financially hardship because like the structure might be good and then all of a sudden they have a sick family member and they're down to one income, and I'm not going to use these people's name, but I'm using an example that I know of, and their furnace went, and they're using a backup heating system, which is not more, the other thing is down, so single household income below $50,000, they live in a modular home. I guess for some people, they want, you know, it would be helpful if there is going to be a list to say, like, furnace would be a possible covered item that someone could apply for.
In the program guide, I believe, I don't have it with me, I think we do have a list of those eligible activities, yes, yeah.
Could you please send that through the mayor to the town manager? Can you send me that list? Because when I'm talking to people in the community, it'd be good to have, if someone asks me what are coverable items or possible covered, because I can't say they're going to be approved.
Yes.
But possible items that could be covered, like a furnace, you know, that would be great. And then maybe some basic examples, like if you're a household of $50,000 with a family of 3, I mean, is that going to put you, like, you know, some basic examples. So people get intimidated by certain things and they want to reach out, but they also don't want to be let down either. So it's nice when you have a basic idea of, you know, what a family of 3 would look like, what a family of 2 with like basic incomes between $20,000 up to $100,000, right? Even.
Yeah.
And with different family sizes, it'd be great to see. But I'm all for this. I think it's great. And hopefully people will get some relief. My other question is, it says until the property sells, what if it forecloses? What happens?
So just to get back to your income limits, it was included in your packets.
Yes, I did see that. I'm just saying, I have that. Yes, I have this one. But I guess the question I had is this going to be the hard one, or is there a varying rate? This is the hard number, because sometimes that is like the threshold number, but you could be a couple percent over.
No, this is
the
household
hard
income, yes, by number of members of the household. The number only changes annually.
Okay.
And we follow HUD's lists, and so every year HUD publishes the new numbers, yes.
Perfect. All right. Yeah, so just the list of items would be then great. That would be enough. And if the house was to be foreclosed?
We have legal language in our contracts that details the process for that, and depending on how many loans or mortgages is on the property, that is also a variable that may determine whether you qualify or not for this program. So we do that type of analysis up front to see, you know, if we're first in line or if we're second or third. And, you know, yes, we do say the loan to value is removed from mobile homes in part to kind of go against that barrier where, you know, some homes might not necessarily be in great shape or financial, you know, equity in it, yeah.
So a house could be in great standing right now, let's just say, but they don't have multiple loans out on it, they qualify, and if it foreclosed, we would be next in line to get a percent back of that. It might not be the whole 15,000, or it would be, how would that work?
Depending on the value of, you know, the property at the time. If they have a mortgage with the bank, did they have the housing rehab loan with us first before the bank, you know, and so it depends on in the listing, yeah.
So our, you know, funds may not be at 100%, we
Yeah,
might not get the
yeah.
full 15,000. So it's a bit of a gamble, but there is a application process. Okay. I think that answers my questions. Again, all for helping out the middleman, you know, the middle woman and the middle class and lower class folks who need support and services more than ever right now. So I think it's great, and I'm glad we're adding other folks into it. And will this start to be posted? When will this go into effect after tonight? That's my last question.
As I said, we already have, I think, about 8 people on this list, separate from the other housing rehab. So posting it will be good, but it'll just create a longer wait list. It doesn't necessarily mean that all funds will be applied right away. So I'll be working with the building official and, you know, the necessary people in this process to start working on housing rehab. We may post on social media and update the town's website and things of that nature, but for the most part, you know, we already have a list, you know, there's already a need out there.
Just a reminder, you'll need to go to the council on June 2nd and then the RTM after that.
All right, so yeah, so it'd be at least a couple months before it can be acted on. Great, I will start spreading the word now. Thank you.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye?
Aye. Thank you, guys, and thank you for looking for grants and stuff.
Thank you.
Yes, 8 to 0, and we are on the last item of the evening. Council, we don't have a motion yet. Director Reiner, this is for 2026-212, Plan and Conservation of Development, Consideration of Endorsement. Director Reiner, do you want to
Yes.
start for us?
Yes.
Thank
So I was just looking at some state language on this. So at your last regular council meeting, you held a public hearing, and I think I spoke to you about this about a month and a half ago. Deputy Director of Planning Development and Public Works, Deb Jones, spoke with you, I think, at your last committee of the whole meeting, and gave an overview of what the POCD is, as well as your roles. And, you know, tonight you can endorse the plan in whole, you can endorse the plan in part, you can reject the plan in part or in whole if you want to make some changes. If you were to propose a change to the plan that you want to see the commission actually adopt and make that change, you would state that, you know, we approve the part of the plan, but then we also reject this portion of the plan, and we recommend you change it to X. And then that would have to be a motion by the council. So based upon the feedback that you received, the ball's now in your court.
Councilor Jones?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Director Reiner, for putting this together and presenting it. So overall, I'm generally pleased with this. I just want to remind all residents, this is the 10-year plan that also directs how the town moves forward. Everything is based off of this plan, so it really gives direction to the town. The part of it that bothers me in this is the planning department, and you in particular, spent a lot of time educating us, educating residents, educating planning on the importance of middle housing. And I appreciate that a lot. It was great. We had a great tour of middle housing and pointed out it seems like a great option to help improve housing, but nowhere in this document is any reference to middle housing. And so this is the 10-year plan that's going to sort of lock us in. And when people ask me about housing options in town, I basically say we have two. We have apartment buildings, which we're building around, and we have houses. Now, I do understand there's a couple grandfather things here and there for other stuff, but majoritarily, it's apartment buildings and housing, and we don't have the middle housing in between. I'm in favor of middle housing. I think it was a great option. You pointed out some great examples of it as we did our tours, and you've done, I don't know, 3 maybe presentations. I think I've been to all of those. So that's my main question is what happened to middle housing in this document when it seemed like a great way for Groton to move forward with our, I think we need 4,500 housing units, so.
Yeah. So there were some references to missing middle housing, specifically in our future land use map. Sometimes people refer to it as the flume. When we talk about the flume, we're not talking about the water slide that used to be at Rocky Point Park in Warwick. We're talking about our future land use map. And we had some recommended zoning densities within that future land use map to encourage missing middle housing, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to remove those densities and instead utilize the densities that were in the 2016 POCD future land use map. So, and again, one of the things I always try to stress with people when we talk about our plan of conservation and development, in this case, Groton 2035, we're calling the plan. These are visions, these are recommendations, these are ideas. It's really, it's big picture, it's think up here, think outside the box. But where the rubber hits the road is when we actually go to adopt zoning. I think tonight there's a hearing going on for zoning. That's where the residents really get involved. We have some people get involved. We did a lot of outreach and engagement with our plan of conservation and development and on the missing middle housing project, focus groups and all these other things. But that's to just get the ideas. Where that rubber hits the road is zoning. I think sometimes people are, we're going to get locked in because the POCD said we should do this. Well, that's our guide. Unfortunately, there's many things that end up in our plan of conservation and development that we never get to. It would take a lot of money to study, to analyze. Why do we study and analyze? Because people don't want us to just adopt. First, we have to look at the impacts for everything we do, whether it's an engineering project, whether it's a planning project. We got to build up that community buy-in and support, even on things we know that we need. We know we need housing. We know we need money for manufactured homes for rehab, but it's things we have to talk about, we have to analyze before we make a decision, because that's the role of the town, to include everybody in that process and make sure we're addressing the needs of the many. So I just say that for when you get concerns from people about, well, this is going to make us do this. It's not going to make you do anything. It's ranges, and those zoning densities that were in the map were ranges to look at what could we do in some of our residential areas. Even when we finish our missing middle project, which is going to wrap up sometime around December, and I bring this in because how does that relate to the POCD? We'll get some recommendations of things to do with zoning. We're not going to have zoning adopted in that period of time. Then we're going to have to begin the process, and when we do that, in many instances, we try to focus on a smaller area first, try it out there, and then if it works and the community likes it, then you move on and do it in more places.
So if something isn't in this document, are we allowed to do it? Because middle housing isn't in this document, are we allowed to build duplex, triplex, quadplex homes?
So right now, you can build a duplex or duplexes are allowed in some of our residential zones. The triplexes and quadplexes are only allowed in our multifamily zones. And when developers are looking at allowable densities and markets actually projects actually penning out and making sense financially, they're trying to maximize the density. Where did we historically see missing middle housing? It was in residential neighborhoods. It's those hidden homes that people don't realize that, I might get into a fun discussion with somebody that didn't even realize their house next door to them was a triplex. And they will argue with me day and night of, no, that's not multifamily. That's one person lives in there. Or I think I might have explained to the council, there's a person I spoke to that was adamant that their house was a single family home, but no, it had been a duplex for over 50 years. They just weren't renting out one side and it was sitting there vacant. But their future plans would have converted to a single family home, but today it's still a duplex. So there's a lot of that hidden missing middle housing. We want to bring it back into the communities and allow it, because right now you can't build the triplex, the quadplex that looks like a single family house or just a larger house in an existing neighborhood.
I think you were very, on the tour that I did with you through Buquonic Bridge neighborhood, it was quite an eye-opening tour for you to point out these homes that were mixed in with the regular, ordinary resident, and you just never even saw them.
Yeah.
They just kind of blended in. So I think it's a great option. I'm disappointed it's not in this document, because I think it's a tool that we could use to help increase housing without building, there's nothing wrong with giant apartment complexes, but we don't need, 12 more of them to cover our needs, so.
No, and we've heard that loud and clear from the community of why are we only getting large apartment complexes? And many times, it's communities like ours, we often create zoning regulations in fear of what we don't want, as opposed to enable what we do want. And perfect case example, if we want better design, if we want these types of housing units, we need to enable people to do it. And as we do it, we've talked about this, yes, there would be design standards as part of that. I think that was a conversation that came up at your public hearing of we need design standards, within development. We actually have design standards for our multifamily housing and in our special districts like the Mixed Village Center, the Mixed Town Center along the Route 1 corridor. And if we were to start allowing these, the missing middle, we are going to have some design standards as part of that. We know our Planning and Zoning Commission wants that. We want to see that. None of us like to see, a neighborhood that has great character and, that historic kind of feel to it. And then you see the houses that look like a garage with an attached house. That's what I've kind of always, where the garage is out front. There's a lot of things we can do that are very simply make it look very compatible with the neighborhood and not look any different than, your traditional houses that are there.
Council Good.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To the mayor, so if there's a recommendation for any changes on the POCD, and I appreciate the work. I've been following along for months and months and watching it be developed, and I agree with Councilor Jones. I'm a little saddened to see the work we've all been doing in middle housing being missing. So would I just a technical question, would I be making a motion or a recommendation on this?
So I think a little bit, so time is of the essence a little bit. So this Thursday night, our Planning and Zoning Commission will be opening their public hearing on this matter. Could they close the public hearing that night? Yes. I do not expect them to close the public hearing that night. Then we have a date later in May, I think it might be May 26th or 8th. It's a couple days after.
28. And then 6-4, and then one other.
Yes. It's a couple days after your next CAL meeting. So if you were to make a motion tonight, if there's something you wanted to see change, you would make that motion that again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if you wanted to reject a portion of the plan and instead use this language, that would be if you want to address something that you want to see changed. If you were happy with the whole plan as it is, I would make a recommendation that you endorse the plan and send that to the Planning and Zoning Commission. So those are kind of, your options.
Thank you, I appreciate that answer. I'm going to make a motion, and I'm going to probably struggle with it a little bit, so anytime I'm going down the wrong path, please, anybody can chime in and let me know. I want to move that we restore to the original proposal low RU20, RS20, 2 to 4 units per acre, or up to 7 units per acre on public sewer and outside floodplains. Medium, RS12, R12-7, 3 to 15 units per acre. High, RM, more than 15 units per acre. And this, I think, I would reject it, the RU80 to be 2 units per acre or less.
Second, Pacino.
Point of information?
Motion made by Councilor Good, second by Pacino, so let me
Well, I'm
get,
sorry, I didn't finish my
Oh.
motion. I would accept the rest of the POCD as written.
except, okay. All right, let me be clear, except, so, okay, so you would like, just to confirm, to restore the original proposal for low RU 20, RS 20, 2 to 4 units per acre, or up to 7 units per acre on public sewer and outside the floodplains. Medium RS 12, RS 12/7, 3 to 15 units per acre. High RM, more than 15 units per acre, and reject
What's
the
draft statement?
the call for rural RU 80 to be 2 units per acre or less, and then accept the rest of the POCD plan.
Yes.
And this is in relation to the future land use map,
This
correct?
is for FLUM, the
Okay.
For-
future land use map.
Under the flume. Oh, okay.
Hopefully, point of information.
Wait a minute, she called it first. Give me a moment. Under the flume, okay. Your point of information, Council Bernhardt?
Yeah, I just wanted to, through you, just find out where that exact text amendment came from, just so I can add it, that was added, that the Counselor Good was asking to add, where that came from.
It was, we got that via email, I believe, correct?
I had asked for the exact numbers and.
Right, I guess what I'm asking is,
Oh, sorry.
but it was, I guess my question is, it said it was at one point and then it was removed, I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
So these were the original numbers that were proposed in the future land use map and were removed by the Planning and Zoning Commission from that map
So now we're trying to put it back in.
about 3 months or so ago.
Thanks for clarifying.
All right, Councilor Jones, your point of information.
My point is, does this fit on a page in the whole document, or does it go on the map? I just don't know where it,
So that would amend that map.
this map.
Yes,
Okay.
and within the document itself, there's a description of what the densities are for each of those designations.
Okay. So it will translate into the map, and then from the map, it'll translate into the document in the appropriate places.
Correct.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, Councilor Borderline.
Thank you. So I don't know that I can support that. I guess my first question is, what makes this different than the text amendment that's on the table tonight at Planning and Zoning? That's my first question. My time
The
is
text
over.
amendment tonight is an entirely different matter. That's a new zoning designation district. It actually isn't necessarily addressing density, but that's a whole nother, it's not changing the base level of zoning of what's allowed. So I don't want to get into tonight's zoning discussion by the Planning and Zoning Commission. This is addressing potential future densities that would be allowed in certain districts. The zoning text amendment tonight is not looking to change the underlying allowed density on that property.
Okay, well, my thing is this. It is pertinent, right? Because people are proposing text amendments and there was over 150 people that have showed up.
I'm going to stop you on
I'm
that
talking about
part.
this, it's about the future plan, so I could add whatever I want.
You started to talk, this has nothing to do with tax amendments, that's why I'm
It
going to
has
stop you.
done with zoning and how we want to do middle housing or low housing. That's very prevalent, absolutely. It is
We're
pertinent.
only, the motion on the floor is what we're discussing. So
And it's pertinent, because I can make any text amendment I want through this as a recommendation. It
Does-
doesn't mean it's going to move.
does it-
So my point
I'm
is,
sorry,
it's
and I'm going
pertinent.
to point information. There is nothing in there about tax amendments. If I quote, is
So
there
I'll
tax
change my
amendments?
words. I'll
It's
change my
in there.
words.
Thank you.
Zoning in high density and, putting more housing on smaller parcels of land, which isn't here. Or what this proposed is about, that was recommended. So I'll speak in those terms then.
Thank you.
Very similar. It does have we considered ourselves an environmental council at one point. We gave a designation. And so there is concern. I can support the need for housing. But like most people have said, just because we need it in Groton, other people don't want to move here to ruin the climate when they can live in the town over and there's more land to be developed there without taking up every parcel of land. So I have concerns. I will look at this further and review this. But I also have concerns on page 80 and looking at our affordability. We constantly, I can't agree with that text in here as well. We constantly are saying that we're exceeding, and maybe we are, but we're not. And we could change this and make it sound that just because we're meeting the state requirement, we could choose, just like folks want to meet the middle, mixed middle housing, we could choose to change our number to try to set our goal higher. And so for me, I can't support this document because what they're considering, affordable housing, including military housing in here and all of that, it's not enough. And people have overwhelmingly spoke saying there's not enough true affordable housing. While we wait for this middle housing that's missing and other things, that there's an affordability that needs to happen, and it's not happening, and there's not enough of it. So I don't agree with that part. Again, tonight, we can only approve or reject, so that's just, I want to be on the record stating that. As far as I can, and again, respect all the work you've done. This is our chance to pick it apart, and I'll also, when it goes to the zoning, it will have another chance for people to come out and speak. The one that Councilor Good put forward, I can respect your decision to add that back. I did some research on it, and, I'm not sure that I agree with you, but I respect that you put it forward. I mean, I do think, when I spoke to some other folks, there was concerns that there's not enough conservation, environmental protections in here, that it's, again, we can say we need 55,000 more houses, 4,000, 3,000. Just because we think we need it, does it fit? And that's my concern. And I'll wait for my second turn for now, but I basically don't agree.
Director Reiner?
So, one of the problems we have with a lot of what we do through planning and zoning is, I think a lot of the questions that Council Bordelon just brought up are very relevant, but they're opposite ends of an extreme, because if we want more open space, where's that open space? It's land that's available for housing. If we want more affordable housing, well, then we have to build that somewhere in the town. And these are the troubles that we have with every member of the public that we talk to, because everybody loves open space and people want more housing and more affordable housing. But then when we try to do it, we hear, earlier an agenda item you had asked, well, we study and we study, why aren't we doing anything? But then when we try to propose things, we get asked, why aren't we studying this more? We need more analysis, we need more study. So it's this, we get it stuck in this, and this is a conversation that not only are we having, every municipality like us is having the same conversation across the country. We get stuck in this circle of paralysis by analysis. We see the problems in front of us, but we're afraid of change, and we don't know how to juggle all of these things. And this plan lays out options, visions for how we can do some of these things in an environmentally sensitive manner. We have almost 30% of our town is deed-restricted, protected open space. You've heard me talk, we have over 20% of our year-round housing units as affordable units. Does that meet our need for affordable housing? No, but we have more than what's required by the state. What does that mean? It means that we then are eligible for extra grants, because we are, in the past, have been considered a distressed community. When we've told people we're a distressed community, we then, well, that sounds bad. How do we get off that list? Well, it actually makes us eligible for other things. So we have to figure out and accept who we are as a town. We have, a community that we have some very wealthy, and we have some very poor, and we have a lot of people in the middle. And we need to address the concerns of all of those people, but not necessarily at the expense of one group or the other. So this plan tries to do the best of that. With this plan, we did more outreach and engagement to groups that don't normally show up to meetings. Our lower income folks, our environmental justice communities, they often don't come to public meetings because they're juggling multiple jobs. They are juggling family, daycare, other needs, and, they might have transportation here. And who we often see at many of our meetings are older, retired, adults that are much more well-off. And we get comments from people on these documents when I talk to members of the public that need housing. They don't know what a plan of conservation and development is, and they don't realize how that impacts them. So we do our best to get that word out there, but, we as a town have to figure out, do we want more open space, which we can continue to work towards, but is that more important than affordable housing? And which one is your priority?
Councilor Fitzgerald?
I just want to share a few thoughts on, I'm in support of this amendment. And one way I think about increasing density and allowing it is that we're granting the right for people who own these properties to do it. It doesn't guarantee that this is going to happen. It just gives the people the capability to do it. Additionally, I agree with the sentiment that increasing density is an environmental choice. We're addressing sprawl as opposed to diluting those units out onto land that we can conserve. We're infilling units and maximizing the efficiency of the land that's already developed. And finally, I just want to reject the idea that like people can live somewhere else. On two notes, the notion that, in all honesty, we're the Groton Town Council, so we don't have any control of what Ledger does, or New London does, or Waterford does, or Stonington does. We have the mandate to meet the moment for our economy, for our residents, for our current residents, and for this anticipated growth that accommodating the people who want to come and live here, and maybe even want to move into a unit that better suits their needs. So I just want to say I reject that notion that, I reject the notion, in quotations, that we recognize we need the housing, but we don't need it in our own backyard. I think that we should be saying yes in our backyard, and we should be saying, how can we do this most sustainably and affordably by packaging in density that is both appealing to the market as well as fits our neighborhoods and scales up our growth. And that's my thoughts.
Thank you. Counselor Merritt for first time.
I'm going to speak to Councilor Fitzgerald's remarks.
No, you're not. No, we're not. You can
Why
speak
not?
on your own remarks.
They are my remarks.
No, but you cannot speak to him directly.
All right, my remarks are that I went through this with my family about conserving property for open space when we had a plan for 54 units in the town of Groton. And now it sits there for another 100 years. It's just gone to waste, in my opinion, because of one issue of an extinct amphibian was found on the property, and right away, planning and zoning said, no, you can't build the houses there. That individual item very seldom shows up, and we have to have a little more thought than that to cancel out a building project. There has to be some thought put into this. And I'm talking about the Merritt Family Forest. That was going to be 54 houses gone. Thank you.
All right. Now that. Counselor Good.
Thank you. I'm just going to, I appreciate all the comments made tonight. I just wanted to throw in again that this is going to help increase housing, and me as a renter who's just signed another huge increase in my lease this week because we want to stay in Groton. And myself and many in my neighborhood realize the need for more housing in Groton, and anything that could get us there, I'm fully supportive. Thank you.
So, ready?
Second?
You ready? Okay, go ahead. Well, actually, I was going to do it first. Let me do it first, real quick. So, we had that meeting with CCOG. So just as a reminder, that was filmed a few weeks ago, almost a month ago. And per the state, we need to come up with more housing. Per the governor's office, basically, we need housing. So if there's a way of doing it, as everybody has pointed out, Councilor Merritt, Councilor Fitzgerald, everybody here is looking for more housing. We've just got to do it sustainably and do it to fit the neighborhood. So the state's looking at each of the towns to make sure they're putting housing in. So I'm not trying to get in trouble with the state. So my thought process is to go ahead and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm just supporting the motion that's on the floor. I went to, I think, all of those planning meetings that we had on middle housing, and a fantastic turnout by residents and officials, elected officials, and commission members. So everybody came and listened multiple times to the presentations. I think they were very well done. Making this change doesn't change anything. We have zoning rules that affect everything. It's very, very clear. But we're also taught or shown very well how this can easily be fitted into our current mixture and not changing the density enormously. So I think it's a good thing to do. I respect Councilor Fitzgerald's comments on this. So I'm just saying I support this, and I think we can have a nice mixture. And I just know from last night, I had a conversation about some of the new employees that are being hired by one of our major employers, and they are hiring people left and right, and it would be wonderful to have a place for those people to live, so.
Thank you. Okay. On that note, okay, let me point out, Councilor Bordelon left the meeting at 8:29 PM, and we are back down to 4, 6, 7. So, moving the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 That's 7-0. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you.
Motion
Does
to,
that give Director Ryan?
wait a minute, we're done. Motion to adjourn, who was second, I'm sorry? Counselor Merritt. Motion's been made at 8:36, well, all in favor?
Aye.
That's 7-0. We are adjourned at 8:36 PM. And I believe he has what we need, and if not, we'll type it up.